Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Bio with Ms. Suarez and Ms. Laiseca. So today we're going to do a quick review on Mendelian genetics. Starting with the basics, Gregor Mendel, better known as the father of genetics, experimented with pea plants to study how traits are passed from one generation to the next, and that is what we call heredity. Organisms that reproduce sexually receive genes from both of their parents. Those genes code for traits such as height, eye color, blood type, etc. The different forms of these genes are what we call alleles. Alleles can be either dominant or recessive. Dominant alleles are expressed as traits, and recessive alleles only express when no dominant alleles are present. One important thing that we need to remember is that dominant alleles are always going to be represented by a capital letter, and recessive alleles are always going to be represented by lowercase letters. You can see here in our examples, B's, T's, any letter of the alphabet that you can use, okay? So now, remember that we always get one allele from mom and one allele from dad. That brings us to three different possible combinations. Over here we have, look, two capital letters, right, that represent a dominant allele. Then we also have two lowercase uh, recessive alleles, and we can also have a combination of a capital letter and a lowercase letter, and that's what we call heterozygous. And with that being said, before we go any further, let's review four important vocabulary words. So, the first one, homozygous. Homozygous, as its root indicates, it means the same. Okay, so we have when we said that an allele is set of allele is homozygous, is because we have two of the same alleles. We either have two capital letters or two lowercase letters. That's what we call a homozygous dominant or a homozygous recessive. And then our last combination, when we have a capital letter and a lowercase letter, we call that heterozygous. We also have genotypes and phenotypes. Genotypes, or a genotype, is the combination of all of the genes in an individual, the gene set of an individual. And the phenotype is the expressed trait, the characteristics, the physical characteristics that we can, most of which we can see. Okay, in this example, we have the genotype, look, it's a homozygous dominant, two capital letters, right? Dominant allele here, and that's going to be expressed as a normal wing, right, in this fruit fly. Then we have a heterozygous. Again, look, the dominant allele is masking, hiding the recessive allele, and again we have normal wings. Now when we go to the homozygous, we have two lowercase letters, two recessive alleles that are going to be expressed as wrinkle wings. Okay? Now, in order to determine the potential ratios for an offspring genotype and phenotype, we use what we call a Punnett square. Okay, and here's where we're going to use this little tool over here. Let's see if it works. So the first thing that we need to know is what trait we are going to uh, cross, what trait we are experimenting with. In this case, we are going to do the eye colors, right? And we have black for dominant, brown for recessive, and we are going to cross mom, which is a homozygous dominant, and dad who is a heterozygous. So we're going to do our Punnett square here.